That sound belongs to one aircraft, the A-10 Warthog. And right now, in 2026, three separate things are happening at once that almost nobody's connecting into a single story. Congress just forced the Air Force, for roughly the 10th time in a decade, to keep flying an aircraft it's been trying to retire. A training squadron that's produced one of the A-10's most dangerous and least talked about missions just graduated its final class and is shutting down for good. And lawmakers just quietly funded something stranger than either of those headlines: a plan to hand actual A-10 airframes over to defense companies as flying test rigs for aircraft that won't have a pilot in them at all. This aircraft was nearly killed twice before it ever entered service. It's been fighting for its own existence for 50 years. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how it was born, why it keeps surviving votes meant to end it, and what the actual next chapter looks like, because it is not another version of this jet. Vietnam exposed a hole in American air power that nobody had planned for. Fast jets like the F-100 and F-105 were built to fight other jets or bomb strategic targets, not to loiter low and slow over a firefight and put ordnance exactly where a soldier on the ground needed it. The aircraft that actually did that job best, the aging A-1 Skyraider, was a propeller-driven relic from a different war entirely. In 1966, the Air Force opened a program to fix that gap for good, called Attack Experimental, AX. 6 companies pitched designs. Only 2 got approved to build actual prototypes: Northrop with something called the YA-9, and a smaller company, Fairchild Republic, with the YA-10. From October to December 1972, they competed directly against each other in evaluation. Fairchild Republic won in January 1973, and one of the deciding factors was almost boringly practical. Their engine, the TF-34, was already flying on the Navy's S-3 Viking. Northrop's engine wasn't proven yet. Reliability beat ambition. Winning that competition should have been the end of the story. It wasn't. Congress still wasn't convinced a brand new attack jet was worth the money, so lawmakers forced a second competition in April 1974, this time pitting the still unproduced A-10 against the Air Force's existing A-7D Corsair, just to justify building it at all. It won that fight too, and there's one more detail that tells you everything about how this aircraft was actually designed. Most jets get built first, then armed. Engineers built the A-10 around its cannon. The GAU-8 came first. The airplane came second. Jump forward 53 years, and the same argument is still playing out, just with different paperwork. The Air Force wanted all 162 remaining A-10s retired in 2026. That would have been 3 years ahead of the date the service itself had originally set, FY2029. Congress said no. The fiscal year 2026 National Defense Authorization Act, signed into law in December 2025, blocked it outright. The legislation mandates a minimum fleet of 103 A-10s, with 93 of them specifically designated primary mission aircraft through the end of September 2026. On top of that, lawmakers are requiring the Air Force to formally brief Congress by March 31, 2026, laying out exactly how it plans to transition the mission between 2027 and 2029. This isn't a one-time disagreement. It's roughly the 10th time in the last decade Congress has stepped in to slow or block an Air Force attempt to retire this aircraft. There's a pattern worth naming directly. The Air Force keeps arguing survivability, budget, and strategic priorities elsewhere. Congress keeps responding with some version of the same question. Replace it with what, exactly? And every year, that question doesn't get a clean answer, because there genuinely isn't one sitting on a shelf ready to go. That tension is about to get much more specific, because there's one particular mission the A-10 performs that has no backup plan at all, and the people trained to fly it just lost their schoolhouse. Here's a mission most people outside the Air Force have never heard the name of: Sandy. It's the call sign and the qualification for A-10 pilots who escort combat search and rescue helicopters into hostile territory, flying cover for the crews sent to pull a downed pilot or a stranded team out of enemy-held ground. It demands precision, patience, and a willingness to stay low and slow directly over exactly the kind of threat every other pilot in the Air Force is trained to avoid. The 357th Fighter Squadron, based at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona, is the Air Force's formal training unit for this qualification. It's where Sandy pilots have been made for decades. In April 2026, the 357th graduated its final training class. The squadron is set to inactivate this year. As of June 2026, the Air Force has confirmed on the record that there is no successor program for the Sandy qualification. Not a scaled-down version, not a different aircraft picking up the role. Nothing currently in development at all. That means the specific expertise of flying dangerously low, dangerously slow, directly over enemy positions to protect a rescue crew, a skill set built and refined for decades, has an expiration date now, with no institution training the next generation to replace it. It's a narrower story than the broader "will the A-10 retire" debate. It's also arguably the more urgent one, because unlike an airframe, once that specific training pipeline goes dark, it doesn't restart quickly. While all of that political and institutional drama has been playing out, engineers quietly gave the A-10 something new. In May 2026, an A-10C assigned to the 74th Fighter Squadron at Moody Air Force Base flew with a newly integrated aerial refueling probe, a different physical connection point than the receptacle the aircraft has used for decades. What's notable isn't just the hardware, it's the timeline. Reporting on the integration describes the probe being fitted, tested, and carried into actual combat operations within a matter of weeks, an unusually fast turnaround for any modification to a 50-year-old airframe, let alone one moving from a lab bench to a real mission that quickly. This sits on top of a broader modernization effort the aircraft has already been through in recent years. New cockpit displays, precision weapons integration, structural work on the wings. This particular upgrade is smaller in scope than all of that, but it's a useful data point on its own. Whatever the political fight over retirement looks like on paper, the maintenance and engineering side of the Air Force is still actively investing in making this specific airframe more capable, not less, right now in 2026. Which makes the next part of this story even stranger. So what actually replaces an aircraft the Air Force keeps upgrading and can't stop trying to retire at the same time? The honest answer, right now, is nothing that looks like a jet with a person inside it. In June 2026, the House Armed Services Committee advanced language as part of the next defense policy bill, directing the Air Force to build a formal plan for competitive experimentation with autonomous, semi-autonomous, and AI-enabled aircraft tied specifically to the A-10's mission. Buried in the details, a limited number of actual A-10 airframes would be made available to outside companies, including newer venture-backed defense firms, as flying testbeds. One safeguard is written directly into the language. A qualified military aviator has to retain meaningful command and control over weapons release, mission abort, and target engagement, no matter how autonomous the system underneath gets. A defense reporter covering the story put the Air Force's actual position in blunt terms. The service has not identified a direct replacement for the A-10, sees its emerging collaborative combat aircraft as wingmen for crewed jets like the F-35 rather than standalone attack aircraft, and currently has no program at all for an uncrewed jet built specifically to do what the A-10 does. There's a warning from history worth remembering here. In the 1980s, the Air Force tried something similar in spirit, converting F-16s into a dedicated close air support variant called the A-16, hoping a modified multi-role jet could take over the mission. It never fully replaced the A-10. The specialist kept outperforming the generalist wearing a costume. Whether an autonomous system avoids that same trap is the actual open question here, Not whether the A-10 gets retired, but whether anything built to replace it can do the one job it was purpose-built for from day one. Line all of this up, and a pattern becomes obvious. This aircraft survived a forced fly-off against a rival prototype in 1972. It survived a second forced fly-off against an aircraft that already existed in 1974, just to prove it deserved to be built at all. It survived an attempted multi-role replacement in the 1980s that never fully worked out. It survived roughly a decade of Congress overruling Air Force retirement plans, most recently, just months ago. And it's now on track to survive long enough to become the literal test platform for whatever eventually does replace it. None of those survivals happened because the aircraft was untouchable or beyond criticism. Every single one happened because whoever was trying to replace it never quite closed the gap between what a general-purpose alternative could do and what this jet was purpose-built to do from the very beginning. That's a genuinely different story than old plane refuses to die. It's closer to nothing built to replace it has actually finished the job yet. And until something does, both the aircraft and the argument about its future keep going another round. This aircraft was designed around a gun before it was designed around a cockpit, survived 2 fly-offs before it ever saw combat, and outlasted a 1980s attempt to replace it with a modified fighter jet wearing its job description. 50 years later, Congress is still overruling its own Air Force to keep it flying. A training squadron built around one of its most dangerous missions just closed its doors with no successor in sight. And the closest thing to a real replacement in development right now doesn't have a pilot in it at all. Whatever comes next for close air support, it's being built on top of this aircraft's airframes, using this aircraft's mission as the standard to beat. That's a strange kind of legacy, not remembered, but still actively being replaced, one committee hearing at a time.